Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, October 22nd, and this is a meeting of the Public Safety and Transportation Committee, regularly scheduled, albeit an hour later of a start time than we usually have. The start of the meeting, I'm joined by Councillor Lucas from Ward 2, Councillor Wright from Ward 3, Councillor Block from Ward 4. Let's see, Councillor Downs from Ward 5, Councillor Bixby from Ward 6, and I am from Ward 7. We have a number of items before us tonight, but really just the bulk is in the first one, and the others are sort of the overlap items that we had worked on previously to get to this point. So 281-25, parking fine revision. Councillors Downs and Grossman requesting to amend city ordinances to modernize parking fines in line with surrounding communities and to deter unsafe parking. So Councillor Downs did really great work on this to get us to this point. And I think we were expecting to be joined by the law department, but I don't see them here yet.
No, they're not here yet.
Okay, so Councillor Downs, why don't I hand it to you to review everything that's on here?
Okay.
And the changes as you mark them up, working with the law. Oh, here comes Attorney Wilson.
She's here now. Just a moment.
Yeah, I can give the introduction, and then Ms. Wilson can follow up with the language if you wish, Chair.
Sure. And I just want to point out that we are from the city joined by Attorney Wilson, by David Kozis, and by Captain Devine, all of whom have done work on this. Attorney Wilson in particular, thank you so much. And I hope that you'll weigh in on anything that you think we need to consider. So Councillor Downs, why don't I turn it to you to start, and then we'll go to Attorney Wilson. We've also been joined by Councillor Greenberg from Ward 1.
Okay, so I'm going to address 281-25 parking fine revision and 365-24 discussion and possible ordinance change on residential parking programs and fee structures, as they are basically the same item in the end, and I'm hoping we can NAN 365-24 since we've had that discussion and are now just talking about the parking fines. If you scroll down the menu of things that are attached to our agenda, the orange sheet is roughly where we were at the end of our last discussion. No, wait a minute. Sorry, that's for later. So this one is about the permit fees, which is fines, which not fees, which are really about residential permits and visitor permits. And my understanding after our discussions was we wanted to increase the cost of visitor parking permits to $25 permit, and have every one of the residential permits also cost $25, not a 2-for-1 deal. That language is, I'll let Attorney Wilson go over it. There's one wrinkle that Mr. Kozis raised that we weren't aware of, which is that Traffic Council has been giving visitor permits because they're free to staff who are in the residential parking areas, or in the case of Auburndale, it's not really residential, it's sort of a business parking area, all of which would now cost $25. And so Attorney Wilson, maybe you can also explain, after you explain the language you've got here, maybe you can then explain the workaround that we worked on this afternoon to allow Traffic Council to continue to hand out free visitor passes to staff, so we don't get into the complicated accounting of charging and having the school department or the senior center pay the city, and then the city reimburse them for the amount. We can just hand them out. Is that clear, everyone?
I think so, but then are you asking Mr. Kozis to comment on that now?
No, I'm actually just
Okay.
asking, Attorney Wilson to, give us the, it's, we have the red line here.
Did
It's
we lose Attorney
attached.
Wilson? Nope. Attorney Wilson, are you, I
Yeah.
see you on the participant list, but I don't see you. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Hi.
Yep,
got it.
she's here.
Sorry,
Yes,
I
so-
was
thank
just
you.
running
Sorry.
over from the zoning board of appeals, so I was a minute or two late.
Sure.
That's not a problem. So we have the red line version here. As far as I'm concerned, this is what we talked about, but if anyone has questions about that, let's talk about that. Otherwise, if I wasn't clear, I will try to clear things up.
Counselor Greenberg?
Oh, thank you. Counselor Downs, could you just quickly summarize exactly what we talked about in regards to this? Because I just like a refresher.
Right, so we talked about one of the reasons we cannot do online uh, renewals of your residential parking permit, which is $25 plus you can get 2 free visitor permits, is that so many, like 80% or 90%, and Captain Divine will correct me if I'm underestimating it, but it's about that of our residents come in just for the 2 free guest permits, which are transferable to any car. And that, basically makes the program a free permit parking program for residents and their guests. And we had a discussion about that, and at one point, Mr. Kozis gave us a couple of different options. We could do a buy one, get one free, or, buy 2, get 2 free, or 3 for the price of 1, but you have to buy at least 1. And the committee landed on, no, we wanted every permit for every car to cost $25. We're not going to increase the fee, but just apply it to every vehicle. That seemed the most easy to administer, easy to understand, and the most equitable way to do it. So that's where we landed, and that's the language that we have, with the one exception of finding a workaround for the staff to continue to get free permits.
May I?
Counselor Greenberg, is that you? Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So that means the homeowner would pay $25, and instead of getting free visitor passes, they would pay an additional $25 for additional passes. Is that right?
Up to 2, yep. They can get
Up to
2
2.
stickers. They can get up to 2 stickers. They can get up to 2 passes, but each one of those costs $25.
Okay, thank you.
And that's where the straw poll left us.
Counselor Lucas?
Thank you. Counselor Downs, just to refresh our memory again, this is just for the Newton North neighborhood parking plan?
No, this is for all neighborhood parking plans. There's one for Auburndale, there's one for Newton Highlands, there's one for Woburn near the school. And we have a couple of others that have come in as we've gotten commuter pressures or other, just a sense that residents can't find spots or can't leave their cars out for 2 hours or over 2 hours because the time limits are too tight for them.
Okay, all right, thanks. All set. And by the way, I'm okay with the $25, so thank you.
If I remember, you were one of the proponents.
Counselor Bixby, then Block.
Thanks. So does this mean that we would be able to do this online then? Administer the program online?
That's not a given, but at least
Okay.
it gives us, the contractors that were approached by the police department before, and again, Captain Divine can correct me, said that it made no sense for them to administer because they could not possibly you couldn't pay them, you'd have to pay them to administer the thing. And it wouldn't be, that they wouldn't be able to take like a percentage out to cover their costs. It made no sense for them to do.
Okay. I mean, again, yeah, I think that trying to figure that out to the extent that we can, and I don't know, I guess that's to you, Captain Divine, or whoever. I don't know who takes the next steps on that.
I
but,
figure we've got to do a
yes,
stepwise thing.
of
First, we
course,
have
of course,
all of them
yeah.
paid.
Yep.
Then we have, then we check back with the
Yep.
contractors, see if we can get them to bite. If we can't, then we might want to increase to make it more attractive for a contractor to do, but that's another policy decision.
Yep.
Is the online renewal important enough that you want to raise the price?
Okay. Yeah. Just from what I've heard from residents, I feel like the logistical piece is a big barrier here. So, I do think I'm okay with this step, but would hope, it sounds like that's in the plans to make sure that whatever comes next, trying to figure out to make it easier would be.
It's going to be up to you guys. I'm not
Fair
going to
enough.
be doing it.
Fair enough.
I'd be happy to help from the outside, but it's going to be on you.
Thanks.
Counselor Block and then Mr. Kozis.
Counselor Downs, if you could just, or somebody explain what you worked on earlier today, the employee, sort of the practice of employees receiving a visitor placard, sort of which employees, sort of what locations, and what's the workaround?
Well, Mr. Kozis knows that best, so why
Oh,
don't we
okay,
turn to
well,
him,
whomever.
since he has his hand up.
Well, I
Go
did
ahead, David.
Go ahead.
thought that I could try.
Yeah.
I had my hand up first to clarify just one thing real quickly, that in addition to the neighborhood parking plans that you had mentioned, Councilor Downs, we do have just standalone streets around the city that are just resident parking on, sprinkled around. So it's really for any street, if it's a standalone street or if it's part of a neighborhood bigger plan that has resident parking. The visitor permits would apply to that price. The visitor permit $25 fee would apply to them as well. I can try and say something about the workaround, which we just started to think about. Okay, so we have, I think that there's 4 parking districts that mentions the word visitor permits for staff or other people. Okay. We have maybe the most complicated one is the Newton North High School Tiger permits. That's one of the neighborhood parking plans. And so for that particular plan, we have permits that are issued to students. That's $60 for a Tiger permit, but also Tiger permits are issued to Newton North High School staff to park on Elm Road, right? Which is a city road. Those we call visitor permits, so that we don't charge a fee to those city staff. An additional complication is that if you're a resident of Hull Street or if you're a resident of Elm Road, we also can give them Tiger permits, and we don't charge them either. So we call them visitor passes as well. So it's a visitor pass, for a Tiger permit that's issued to residents of Hull Street or residents of Elm Road. Okay, so that's maybe new information that we should think about how to incorporate that. In addition to the Newton North High School Tiger permit program, we have the Newtonville neighborhood parking district. And within that district, we currently offer, as soon as they move back to the Cooper Center, there's 8 permits that are issued to Cooper Center staff to park on Walnut Place, that little road that goes around the Cooper Center. And we called those visitor permits as well. So we were not charging a fee to those staff. And then we have two other schools. One is in the Auburndale Village Parking District. That's the Williams School. So Williams School staff, they have a series of permits that are issued for them to park on certain streets around the Williams School. And we call those permits visitor permits as well, so we don't charge Williams School staff. And we have after school staff that work in the Williams School. I don't think that they're city staff, but I'm not 100% sure if they are after school staff. Probably they're contractors or not city staff. But they currently get free visitor permits as well. And then the same thing for the Ainger School. That's part of the Woburn Village Parking District. So it's a little bit more complicated, maybe. And so I think that's it.
And so on a high level, we have several schools in neighborhood parking districts, as well as the Cooper Center, that need where staff are parking on the street and need a permit not to get ticketed. There's a sort of quick fix under 19202C2, which is attached to our agenda, but is not changed in our agenda, which would just say, notwithstanding the foregoing, visitor permits shall be issued where authorized by the traffic council to city staff free of charge. And that way your visitor passes can be issued by traffic council. And traffic council would probably have to go through the TPR and just change those for the because those are what we call non-resident permits. And that should cover, if I understand this right, Ms. Wilson, that should cover all of those areas with the exception of the Tiger permits.
Yeah, I think that should work. I do want to take a little bit of time, just because I only saw this for the first time a couple hours ago. So I want to make sure that there's nothing else we need to do in order to make sure that this is a complete resolution. But I think that adding that language to 202C2 and having the TPRs be updated should resolve this.
So this is almost ready to pass tonight, but I would suggest is not quite. So I don't know how you feel, Chair, but my sense is maybe we should do this subject to second call to give Ms. Wilson some time to craft the language and send it to us. And then we could vote it onto the first call items at the next city council meeting, but as a
Well, let me
during
just
the first call items.
let me raise another wrinkle here, because as I'm
Okay.
looking at this on the agenda,
Mm-hmm.
281-25 is referred to PS&T and finance, right, Ms. Delaney?
Right.
But what about 365-24?
Those 365-24 and the next one, 364-24, were not referred to finance.
Okay, so I have another question. Are we able to amend the language of 281-25? The reason I'm asking is that 281-25 talks specifically about parking fines in line with surrounding communities and to deter unsafe parking, but it doesn't say anything about the residential parking programs and fee structures. And they're both properly before us tonight because we have all these items on our agenda, but whatever we do here has to go to finance before it goes back to the full council.
You can refer the other two items to finance if you'd like.
From here,
Yes.
they don't have to go back to the full council.
No, you can just refer them to the finance committee if you'd like.
And you're right in reading this. It's 365-24 that talks about the fees, and that would need to be referred to finance. 364-24 is about the parking fines, we can NAN that and just send to 8125, which is already referred to finance
Right.
for the parking
So I guess what I'm
fines.
wondering is, do you think it's better to make one more quick docket item while Attorney Wilson is reviewing the parking fee, I'm sorry, the residential parking fee structures? Have it come back here one more time before we send it to finance, or is it cleaner or easier to vote to refer 365-24 to include, you know, our backup and whatever the report is from this meeting on that item? I just want to make sure that when it gets onto
We could actually
finance,
amend it. We
that
could
it's
amend it before it goes to finance, actually.
well, so that's one of the things I was asking. Can we amend 281-25? Because to me, it's cleaner if we
No,
can.
no, it's 36524. 28125 is the fines. I'm
Right.
sorry.
So
36524 is the only
365-24.
one to do with the permit fees.
Right. So do you want to have a vote to refer that to finance?
I think
Or do you want to
that's,
have a new docket item for
I think
the,
giving the timing, we've got to send it to, we've got to move it
that's fine
along.
with me if it's proper. I wasn't aware that we could do that. I thought we needed to refer an item back to the full council to refer it back out to finance.
No, you-
Either
you could-
way, we can vote to refer it, and then, I'm sorry, Miss Delaney, what were you gonna say?
Okay, I was gonna say, you can refer any item to another committee. So you can refer 365-24 to Finance Committee also.
Okay, we have a couple hands up, so why don't I take Counselor Lucas and Counselor Block, and then let's see where we're at. Counselor Lucas.
Okay, I have a non-process question, so I don't know if Counselor Block does. I have a
Is yours process, Counselor Block, or substance?
No, you go ahead, Counselor Lucas. I don't know how to categorize my comment, so you go ahead.
All right.
Okay, it has to do with the backup, and it stood out on page, I don't know, whatever it is, 3 or 4, where we're talking about section 19-171 taxi cab stands. It's been crossed out, and just wondering why was it crossed out, and is it,
Can we wait on that until we get to fines? Because we're still on permit fees.
that's what I was asking, but
Yeah, that's on the fine part, which we'll take up next. And right now we're working at the permits. Is
that's
that
fine.
okay?
Yeah, that's fine. No
Okay.
pun intended.
And then we'll go
Yeah.
through all of that.
I think that's part of our confusion here is that we've got, you know, these 3 different items, and the top one is sort of intended to encompass the bottom 2, but we've gotten a little confused with our structure here procedurally.
No, actually, the first one, and it's partly my dyslexia. I look at fines and fees and I mix them up. Fines is just going through the ticket and making sure everything is up to date. Fees are what you pay for your permits. There's no wrongdoing involved in that. So
okay.
the 2 times we talk about fees are in 364. Sorry, 360. The one time we talk about fees and the permits is 365. The other 2 are about fines.
Right. So right
If
now
that's
we're
clear.
still talking about the residential parking fees and those programs. Counselor Block.
So just, I'm just, this isn't directly related to this, but I'm curious and surprised as you were, Counselor Grossman, that we can refer to another committee. And I'm just curious, is that true for any committee, as long as there's some rational basis? Can any committee refer an item to another committee? I'm just curious. Ms. Delaney, do you have a view on that, or?
That's my understanding. If it's
Okay.
if it's an appropriate committee, but this is money, so it would go to finance.
Sure. Oh, yes. Right. No debate about it. Okay. Back to the substance of the workaround. Mr. Kozis did mention, I guess these are referred to as Tiger permits, the residents of Hull and Elm Streets. Is there, I mean, they're not city employees, of course, probably. So is there special language adding the residents of those two streets to this, I guess what amounts to an exception to our structure? Is that part of the language that's been drafted?
No, it's in the TPR and not in the ordinance.
Okay, well,
So-
is that okay? I don't know myself. I'm just,
I think traffic council could just do that, just not call it a visit, call it a discretionary
okay.
permit. But Ms. Wilson, you can weigh in on that if we need to do that. And that might be something to look at as part of this.
And I guess there's a similar question to this Williams School after-school staff. That program did not exist when my kids went to Williams School, so I don't know, but I suspect they are not school employees.
They
I
are not.
suspect it's a nonprofit that's running that program. So
Right.
just, in the interests of not upsetting our current practices, I just want to make sure that we have the language where we need the language that covers those, the individuals in those two categories. That's all.
Right, and I would agree that that's something that we need to be sure the language has before we finalize it on the floor of the council, but I think that can be done in the interim.
Oh, yes, I don't
We can review
imagine-
it and then we can vote this out on second call and then review it and vote it out as a first call item. After having reviewed it, that gives
Okay.
us a couple of weeks.
Fine,
Because
yes.
finance also has to look at this.
Right. I was just wanting to take a really quick look at I'm just looking at the calendar for a second to see. All right, so tonight is the 22nd. Finance meets on the 27th. So I suppose it's possible in theory that this could go to them then. Otherwise, the next city council meeting is on the 3rd. So I guess the question is, Councilor Downs, are you hoping that finance is going to put this on the agenda as soon as the 27th?
Yeah,
Okay. Well then in that case, I personally, I'm good with the dollar amounts. And I think that very accurately reflects what we all came to a consensus on in our prior discussions. I just want to make sure we are, following all of our procedure properly. So what I'm thinking is, that actually the vote we need to take on this part of the discussion is with respect to 365-24.
right.
To essentially vote to, recommend, subject to second call, the, edits that are here. And to vote to refer this to the finance committee. And if necessary, back through the city council to the finance committee, which I can confirm with the president tomorrow. Does that sound right to everybody?
It sounds right to me. Ms. Delaney, is this roughly 2 votes?
Okay, so you would take a vote and then you'd have to make a motion to refer to finance. Yes, please.
So 2
Okay.
votes. All
So,
right.
Mr. Kozis, what did you want to add?
Yes, could I just confirm that my understanding is correct, that Ms. Wilson can just incorporate all these few additional changes that we just talked about in 19202, and no change would be necessary at all through traffic council to the TPR? Is that correct?
I do think that a change to the TPRs will be necessary.
You do, but then that can happen subsequently.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are we able to make changes to the TPR through our committee? We don't have to go through traffic council, do we?
Yeah, we could. But it's very detailed work, which is why it was outsourced to TPR, to Traffic Council.
And we don't need a docket item to do that, or it has to be docketed to Traffic Council.
Right.
Okay. And no problem to do that after we vote this to then make the TPR conform to our actions.
No, and Traffic Council has the ability to carry things over
Into next year.
term to term. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And
So-
when do we start collecting the fees again for the residential parking programs?
That happens in January usually.
So it would be better ideally to have the TPR cleaned up before January if we can.
Right. Which is going to be tough to do because I think the next meeting is November.
Well, then right.
Um,
So I guess the question is, do you want to docket an item to change the TPR and put it through our committee? Because I'm pretty confident we can get it done here by the end of December. Or do you want to docket it?
by December 3rd.
Why not?
Okay.
But
Yeah, we can do
how does
that.
go? Like if we docket an item to update the TPR, will that automatically? We just docket it through the city council and not as a docket item to Traffic Council.
Right.
Why don't you and I talk about that tomorrow of what will be faster and just look through the calendar and make sure we're kosher, but I don't see why we wouldn't be.
Sure.
I'd like
Let's
to,
work at a time.
I'd like to
Yep.
just jump in and say that I'm not confident that this committee has the ability to change the TPRs. The Traffic Council has the sole authority to adopt, amend, and repeal regulations governing the parking of vehicles at specific locations. So I believe it is within their sole authority to make that change.
Oh,
I think we gave it to them and we have the appeal authority. But the person who would know that best is David.
Mr. Kozas, yeah, and you have your hand up. What are your opinions?
That, I was gonna say exactly what Ms. Wilson said, but we do have a council meeting scheduled for November 20th. So I think if we need to go through Traffic Council, which I think we probably do, it's just a matter of docketing an item and then Traffic Council could just vote to approve whatever the language would be that we would need to change. And it might be very quick.
Okay. All right. So here's where I think we're at. I think
Can I jump in
now,
one more time, please?
sure, of course.
Mhm.
I just want to say that I defer to the clerk's interpretation of the rules for the city council, but I do believe that in order to refer the matter to a different committee, it has to go through the full city council.
That was my understanding as well. Are you seeing that in the rules?
Yes, 5C.
Okay, so in that case, why don't we vote? I still think we should take two votes. One to approve 365-24. Okay, you know what? I have a different opinion now thinking about this. This has to go through a full council meeting anyway to get over to finance, this part of it. Why don't we just keep this really clean and docket another item called residential parking program and fee structure revision? Attach the edits, and Miss Wilson, if you want to take a couple days to finish your recommended edits, and then it will be referred back here. I can speak with the chair of finance and ask if he can plan to put it on his calendar right after. So the November 3rd is the next council meeting. Then we meet on the 5th, and then finance meets on the 10th. So in theory, this could be voted out the 17th to the full council, and if not, on the 1st or the 15th. I think if we start voting to refer 365-24 and it's subject to second call and it's got extra revisions all over the place, I just think that's going to get really confusing when it works its way back through the council and the finance committee. And since we're talking about the same timeline anyway, that seems cleaner to me.
All right, our last meeting though, I believe is, yeah, the 15th is the last time we can do it. I'd prefer to get it done the 1st.
I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to do that because finance is meeting on the 24th as well as the 10th. So there are 2 opportunities to take it up before the 1st. I mean, I suppose the
Okay.
only advantage of voting to refer 365-24 to the finance committee is that we don't have to take it up again. So then it is sent right over to them and, you know, perhaps the chair would then take it up more quickly on the 10th. I don't know. I can't predict the chair's actions. We've had some unpredictable actions as of late in that committee. So I just I don't know. I'll do whatever this committee wants to do, whichever you think is gonna get us the result in the most efficient manner.
I appreciate wanting to get it, in as a clean docket item. We could certainly do that as a backup if we need to. I would try doing the referral and getting the language right in the meantime and then fixing that before it goes to full council vote.
Okay, well, that makes sense too. All right, well,
Because, if that gets batted down or the finance chair says can't do that, I'm not going to take it up that way, then we redock it immediately.
okay. So in that case, 365-24 is essentially where I think we are ready to take a couple votes at this point. The first is, I think we need a motion to approve subject to second call. Do we have that motion? Does anyone want to make that motion?
Sure, I'll make the motion.
Okay, moved by Counselor Block. Any further discussion on that motion before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so we have unanimous vote on that. Now, I also think we need a motion to refer this item to the finance committee and essentially to refer it back to the full council to then refer to the finance committee. Do we have a motion to that?
Do we need to refer back to the full council or just refer directly to finance?
Well, either way, I mean, I don't think it much matters. Either way, if you think about our process of accepting items into our docket, we're given docket items, the clerk assigns them to committees, and we vote every week whether we're going to accept these items onto the committees as they're referred. At any time, if somebody was like, hey, I think this item should go to a different committee, that is something we would discuss before the full council. But things go in the full council, out to committee, and back to the full council. So I think we're essentially making a motion to recommend that this be referred to the finance committee through the full council.
Yes.
Do we have a motion to
Okay,
that?
then the full council meets on the 3rd and finance
Right.
takes it up on the 10th.
Ideally.
And we vote it out on the 17th, we hope.
Yes.
All right, I
Right.
guess.
Sure, I'll do that too. I'll recommend to the full council that this be referred to the finance committee.
Okay. Any discussion on that motion? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any Okay. So that takes care of 365-24. We still have 281-25 before us because we put them both on together.
Yeah.
And now we're also discussing in conjunction with 281-25, 364-24. I
Right.
suspect by the time we're done with this conversation, we will be able to NAN 364-24, but just in case, you might want to just hang on to it, just in case we have any other procedural hiccups, because the worst that happens is it goes away at the end of the term. So, Counselor Downs, back to you.
Right, and I believe 281-25 went also to finance. It actually says that.
Yes, it did. So
It
that one,
does say
we're
at the
coaching.
at the top of this, it actually says about all of 3 of these are referred to finance, but I might be wrong.
I don't
Eh,
The latter two are, I think it's just how the agenda is formatted.
All right. At any rate, this one, if you scroll down on your agenda to the orange sheet, that is roughly what we discussed. And that is exactly what is in the language here. So, keeping a number of things the same, but the safety related items such as parking on the sidewalk, parking within an intersection, blocking traffic, which is also double parking, or over 12 feet from the curb. Those are getting increased. The bus stop one, turns out, was in the ordinance already, so it is not redlined. Couple of other small changes. The meter violation is up to 20, to make it a little bit more painful to stay longer at the meter, which we're seeing a lot of, particularly in our very busy village centers. So you're getting that under section 19166, and it is redlined. And we had determined that we no longer had any taxi cab stands. And so that was one of the things that we decided to remove, since there weren't any.
Counselor Lucas.
Call me crazy. Isn't there one on Union Street?
Not anymore.
When did it close?
It hadn't been there for months,
Really?
years. Yeah. And there's none there used to be one near Wobbin Station. It's not there anymore. There used to be one near Newton Highlands. It's not there anymore.
I could have sworn the one on Union Street was still there. That's why I was questioning that earlier, but I guess they're not up and running. So good thing I don't need to take a taxi from them anyway. So
Yeah, I have to call a cab a different way. They don't hang out anymore. They
Yeah.
now use the apps.
yeah, I don't have Uber on my phone, so
It's a more efficient use of space, but the taxi cabs use the apps.
Did we
So you can call
replace-
an actual cab.
Did we replace that stand with traditional parking spots?
It's currently just all driveway now. The Holden taxi area, it's all driveway, and most of the time it's parked up with either their own cars or with they're leasing the space out, I think, because you see the car there continually.
okay, I'm all set. I don't have
Captain Devine may have more insight.
No, I just wanted to add, I mean, years ago, we used to do taxi inspections for nearly 200 taxis. We don't do any more taxi inspections. Livery, the yellow cab is completely gone. Veterans is completely gone. Yeah, the day of the taxi cabs are kind of extinguished. They're done now, so we just don't do them anymore.
We don't have any?
No, we just have like a few kind of livery type services that we get permits for, that we do a little inspection. Those are kind of like private things, but like Councilor Downs used to say, Holden's was on Union Street, and they don't exist. So it's a dead thing now. We don't do them anymore. All these companies are out of kind of business because of the Ubers and these other services just taking over.
If you look in the yellow pages, or you search for taxi services online, you can find some in Waltham and in Boston, and they will come out to Newton, pick you up, and take you to the airport, for instance. But they're they're not hanging out at taxi stands.
No.
Okay. Everything else looks to me in line with what we discussed as a committee the last few times we took this up. Do we have any other comments or questions? Okay, Councilor Greenberg. You just need to unmute, Councilor Greenberg.
Sorry about that. Thank you. I see that the accessible spot parking was it $200? Yeah. Was there any discussion about increasing that? Because I know recently I had an email with Captain Devine about DoorDash people parking in those spots to pick up food at restaurants and how folks with the accessible parking permits aren't able to park there because they're being parked up by DoorDash and other people picking up takeout food. And I'm wondering if a larger fine would help or if it wouldn't deter any of that.
We currently have the most expensive ticket in the region.
Yeah, I think ours is pretty much the highest in the area, so I think we've got a pretty good a hold on that type of a fine.
And they have been traditionally, that's been the Disability Commission's bailiwick, is that they set the fines, they give a grant to do special enforcement, and then the fine money comes back to fund that grant again, usually around the holidays. But if you raise that with them, they might actually pay for extra enforcement because it more than covers the cost, I think.
Captain Devine?
Can I add the COD just approved the Newton Police Department for $8,000 for the grant for this upcoming holiday season. So following Thanksgiving up until the Christmas season, the COD is going to give us $8,000 to enforce all these HP lots and spots. And learning from last year, you were right, Councilor Weber, these the DoorDashes and Uber Eats guys and women are just going in and out of those spots and just taking them up all night long on the accessible, on the people who really need them.
Yeah.
Don't park in those spaces, at least until New Year's.
I know we did discuss this one in prior meetings and compared our fine to neighboring communities. So I don't know, Councilor Greenberg, if that satisfies your thinking or.
Yeah, I guess it's gonna be hard to ticket them if they're in 1 minute and gone the next. It's just, yeah, it's just unfortunate that it's being used that way. I'm not sure how we police that anyway.
We're going to need camera enforcement.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Once we get those school bus ones running, then we should do a study of handicapped ones and then just pressure the legislature to give us a home rule petition to do that. Because that would totally deter it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Chair.
So I think we need two motions, one on the first item. I'm scrolling up to the top to get the number. That will then go before Finance 28125, and then another one to NAN 36424.
You want to NAN it or you want to hold it?
No, I would NAN it.
Okay. Do we have a motion on 281-25 to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Councilor Greenberg. Any further discussion before we vote? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So we're 7-0 on that. Then on 364-24, is there a motion?
I'll move that
To NAN?
to NAN.
Okay, motion to NAN 364-24. Any further discussion before we vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so we're 7-0 on that, and we're adjourned for tonight. Just so everybody's on the same page with 365-24. Attorney Wilson, you're going to work on any further fine point revisions that we need, given the challenges that Mr. Kozis identified for us. And I am going to give a quick call to the president and the city clerk to make sure they understand what we're doing, and probably to the chair of finance as well. Okay. Very good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Night.
Night.